Professor Nam-Yong Lee's commentary, long, The Republic of Korea is not shaken by housing prices, but by its national operating system, a survival strategy to reset exchange rates, jobs, and security all at once. What does reset, redesign mean? A reset does not mean fixing a malfunctioning system while leaving it fundamentally broken. It means redrawing the blueprint itself. The challenges shaking the Republic of Korea appear on the surface as housing prices, inflation, interest rates, exchange rates, and youth unemployment. But at their core, they are one single problem, a national operating system whose components are colliding rather than working together. For citizens, the reality is the question, why has life become this difficult? For the government, it is, why are policies no longer working? The cause, however, is neither emotion nor political will, it is structure. When the nation is viewed as a single system, housing prices are not merely the outcome of real estate policy, they are the output generated simultaneously by monetary policy, fiscal policy, regulation, industry, education, and national security. When outputs are unstable, changing inputs one by one only makes the results more volatile. The conclusion of today's commentary is clear. For the Republic of Korea to stand firmly as an advanced nation, it is not enough to fix one or two policies. The entire national operating system must be fully redesigned based on performance criteria. The idea that honest and efficient individuals, companies, and governments create an era of prosperity is not a slogan, it is a design principle. Stability that citizens can feel does not come from rhetoric, but from policy compatibility. What is needed now is not a left-right ideological debate, but a national reset that realigns the entire policy engine at once. 1. Housing prices are not about real estate but the price of national trust. When housing prices rise, people tend to think only in terms of supply and demand. Yet in a country like the Republic of Korea, where demographics are shifting, capital is mobile, and interest rates are globalized, housing prices are not simply the price of homes, they are the price of trust in the nation. People rush into housing not because housing itself is inherently attractive, but because other options, entrepreneurship, investment, innovative industries, long-term savings, feel uncertain. The moment capital concentrates on assets that feel certain in an age of uncertainty, real estate becomes a vacuum cleaner that absorbs financial resources across the entire society. This phenomenon is especially brutal for the younger generation. In the labor market, young people face instability through temporary contracts and platform work. In the asset market, they start far behind. In the education market, costs continue to rise. As a result, marriage and childbirth are delayed, population declines, growth rates fall, and anxiety once again flows back into real estate. In other words, the housing price problem is not fundamentally a real estate policy issue. It is a symptom that appears when trust in long-term national growth is shaken. 2. Exchange rates and interest rates are the nation's fitness test. The $1 exchange rate and interest rates are not just market numbers. They are the results of a national economic fitness test. When the exchange rate fluctuates, companies immediately feel the impact through raw materials, components, and energy costs, while households absorb the shock through higher prices. When interest rates rise, household debt comes under pressure, and companies choose defense over investment. If the government approaches these issues in fragmented ways, let's only control inflation or let's only stabilize real estate, policies inevitably collide. Interest rate hikes intended to curb inflation suppress growth and employment, while fiscal spending aimed at protecting jobs can once again fuel inflation and exchange rate volatility. The way to break this vicious cycle is simple. What persuades markets is not words, but consistency in national governance. When monetary, fiscal, industrial, regulatory, energy, and foreign policies are aligned in one direction, exchange rates and interest rates stabilize. Numbers may seem to move on psychology, but that psychology is shaped by structure. Stability is not a declaration, it is the composite outcome of a coherent policy package. 3. Jobs come from industrial performance, not welfare. Jobs cannot be created through welfare alone. Welfare is a safety net, but it is not an engine. Jobs come from industrial performance, and industrial performance comes from productivity. Productivity does not mean working longer hours, but creating higher value within the same amount of time. The critical question is simple. What will the Republic of Korea live on in the future? The country has strengths in semiconductors, software, batteries, shipbuilding, defense, nuclear power, biotechnology, and content. The decisive difference, however, lies in whether the state opens pathways for technology, talent, and capital to flow efficiently. When companies invest, what they value more than subsidies is predictability. If regulations change frequently, tax systems fluctuate, and labor policies, such as the so-called Yellow Envelope Act, remain uncertain, companies will choose cash and real estate over investment. The essence of job creation, therefore, is not support, but a structure that enables private sector experimentation. The role of the state is not to plan on behalf of companies, but to establish governance that allows companies to plan for the future. 4. Education is not about entrance exams, but the production line of national competitiveness. Education in the Republic of Korea is intensive, yet its efficiency is declining. The reason is simple. The goals of education are no longer aligned with industrial change. While industries are being reorganized around artificial intelligence and automation, education remains locked into a system of mechanical memorization and selection in the name of fairness. Fairness is important, but when fairness locks in outdated methods of evaluation and selection, it becomes a form of fairness that undermines the competitiveness of society as a whole. What the nation must do is not increase the number of good universities, but create ecosystems of good jobs and design education, training, certification, and career transition structures that match them. In countries where primary education, higher education, and vocational training are disconnected, young people dream not of growth but of escape. Education is not an individual issue, it is the production line of national competitiveness. When the production line becomes obsolete, growth inevitably slows. The Republic of Korea must truly reset its education system. 5. Security is not only guns and missiles, but an economic and technological shield. When discussing security, it is easy to think only of military power, yet the core of modern security lies in the economy, technology, and supply chains. When energy, food, semiconductors, batteries, or communications infrastructure are disrupted, a nation can be shaken even without a war. Security, therefore, is not merely about military strength, it is about resilience, the ability of a nation to endure and recover from crises. The Republic of Korea faces significant geopolitical risks. For this reason, its national operating system must incorporate a crisis response mode, even in normal times. Energy mix strategies, domestic production and diversification of core components and materials, balanced alliances and diplomacy, cyber defense and industrial security are all integral elements of national security. Security is not a separate domain. It is the highest level condition that binds together the entire economy and society. 6. The solution? Align everything at once through 5 national system resets. Now, the conclusion. For the Republic of Korea to stand firmly as an advanced nation, its national operating system must be reset so that honest and efficient individuals, companies, and governments can function properly. The method is not slogans, but package design. Trust. Reset. Make policy predictability the highest priority and lock in mid to long-term roadmaps. Capital reset. Create pathways that redirect capital absorbed by real estate toward innovation, investment, pensions, and long-term productive finance. Industrial reset. Shift regulation from prohibition to permission with accountability and institutionalize experimental zones for new industries at the national level. Talent reset. Integrate education, training, certification, and career transitions into a single system, transforming young people's first jobs into first growth opportunities. Security reset. Treat energy, supply chains, cybersecurity, and industrial security as core national performance indicators, continuously reviewed through crisis scenario planning. These 5 resets are interconnected. Implementing only one will cause leaks elsewhere. But when they are aligned simultaneously, a zone of stability opens, where housing prices, exchange rates, jobs, and security stabilize together. Ultimately, a national operating system is a matter of relationships. When policies crowd each other out, a nation falters. When policies reinforce one another, a nation grows. The Republic of Korea now stands precisely at that crossroads. The path to elevating the Republic of Korea as an advanced nation is not a distant or abstract slogan. It comes down to one thing: building a structure that operates honestly and efficiently. Stability in everyday life is proven not by political rhetoric, but by policy design. Thank you for watching Professor Nam-Yong Lee's commentary, Long.